old man Saf.
Hey everyone, this is Neela.
Heyo, it's your boy Funke, the coolest teen rapper online.
What's up? It's me, Alfie. You're listening to The Cool Table with
You're
Adrian.
listening to the Cool
And
Table.
you're listening to The Cool Table.
You're listening to The Cool Table.
And I'm not sure if you know this, but right now, you're in the cut with my man, Adriel Smiley.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. We're here on The Cool Table in the cut with Storry. I actually was supposed to talk to you when people were talking face to face, and things were busy, and I didn't get the chance. I was at the release for your last project, so I guess that's close.
Oh, you were?
I was there. I ended up getting there a bit late because I think one of my friends was celebrating her birthday on the same day, and she wanted to, do it there, and it was a whole mess. But it was a fun night. All thanks to you. But I'm happy to have you on the show finally. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I have like 40,000 questions to ask you, and
Okay.
I want to start with kind of where the last project ended. It was basically like right before the world started burning down, and things kind of went to shit, so to speak. But when did you start kind of, I guess, putting the thoughts together for this project, and then talk about recording at Collabo Camp and kind of how that affected the way the project turned out?
Right. So not even 30 days after I released my debut album, Chapter 3, The Come Up, the world shut down. Like I was supposed to, literally the day that we got the news that basically the whole country was on lockdown was the day the Junos got canceled, and I was on my way to the airport to fly out there. And my whole life had culminated to these moments. So I was pretty depressed, and I obviously had gratitude that like I had my health, and I was very privileged to like be in a home with my mom, and like she still had work. So like, I wasn't struggling to like pay a mortgage or something like that. So like, there's a lot of things to be grateful for. But my music career is a big part of me. And so it was painful. So I don't know, music has always been my savior. Creation has always been my savior. I started painting during a time when my music wasn't in my control, and I didn't even know I could paint. And it was just something that kind of came about just because like I needed an outlet. I was like super depressed at the time. And so similarly, this kind of project, Interlude 19, came about because I was just in a place that I just felt stifled, and I needed to express myself. And I also felt like if I expressed myself, then maybe other people would hear themselves in it, and it could help them as well during this time. So it was very important for me to have a really fast turnover as well. So what I did was I had this concept, and the concept was that basically the time that we're living in is essentially an interlude. It's this short blip in time that separates two periods, essentially, because before and after this are going to be very different. And that's what an interlude is. And so I wanted all the songs on the record to essentially be interludes. So all the songs are between 45 seconds and 3 minutes. I didn't want anything too long and too structured like a song. I would say Worth is the most structured like a song, but everything else has more just like, it's just a vibe, and it's just, reflection. And I wanted all the songs to be about waiting in this kind of what seems to be purgatory, like it's a limbo. But at the same time, even when you're in limbo, there's stuff that's happening under the surface, and things are always changing. So it's like that kind of constant reflection that happens. But I start and end the record with a lullaby that my mother used to sing to me. And it's the idea of the like cyclical nature of our lives. We go to bed, we wake up, we go to bed, we wake up. And we might think that the next day is like this brand new day. Because we learned all these things from before, but it almost seems like everything's kind of just repeating itself. And so that's kind of where the inspiration came. And then I went, I reached out to my friend, Allison and James, and they were, I told them the idea, and they were super supportive, and they were like, well, use our space. They have this beautiful space in Tweed called Collabo Camp, and they invite artists there to just create, and you just kind of leave something there. And so I was very blessed. So I had 10 days, and I basically wrote, recorded, and shot all the footage for the videos. So we're going to have videos for every single song on the record. So it's a visual album as well, in those 10 days. So it was pretty intense, and there wasn't a lot of time to like rethink or rejig or question myself. It was just like, get in there and get out, you know what I mean? And then put it out to the world when it's relevant, when they need it,
Yeah, two things that you said that really, really hit me is kind of last thing you said, that they need it. That's what I've been thinking, from the first time I kind of got to hear this. And by the time this comes out, everyone will get to hear it. But I was like, this is kind of the stuff that people need right now. That's kind of what, the album gives me, that kind of vibe. And then, when I heard that you did this in 10 days, I'm just like, that must have been a stressful ass 10 days. But I think of the story with Andre 3000 where he created The Love Below, and he wasn't going to do an album. Big Boy was doing an album, and they said, do you want to do an album? He's doing one, or you can do a double disc. And Big Boy's album was due in 10 days. And in that 10 days is when he came up with Hey Ya and all those other kind of songs that lasted forever. And it's like, that's kind of the vibe that it gives me, is like, it is stressful in those 10 days, but it's kind of extra hyper focused. And that's what kind of brings out that great art. I didn't actually plan to ask you about the videos, but now that you've brought it up, I had to ask you, because I love the videos you've put out so far for the project. Talk about, I guess, the theme going through the rest of the videos, because you said there's going to be a video for every track. Is like, what's the theme with the videos, and how will that kind of follow the story?
Well, essentially, it's like the cyclical nature again. So every morning, every video starts with me waking up in bed and like brushing my teeth and doing the same things every morning. And so that's essentially the kind of the running theme throughout each track, but every day kind of shifts in a different way internally. And so that's essentially the themes. I don't want to like, give too much, so people have to like subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch them. They'll be coming out I'm thinking every couple of weeks.
No, and they're worth the watch for sure. I kind of noticed it just with a couple. I watched one, and then I watched another one, and again, it started the same with you waking up. So I thought I was tripping out and had this rewatch the same video. But you're right, it gives you that kind of cyclical vibe that things are going over and over and over again. You basically had your debut project right before the world ended. And like, I have a couple of other friends who are artists who that's kind of the situation they've been in, and they've been working towards this debut project for months, years, basically their whole life worth of art to the debut project, and then this happens. How does it feel different to put a project like this out, in also in the middle of a pandemic, when you didn't get to fully, I guess, enjoy or reap the benefits of your debut project?
Yeah. Well, I think right now I just have a lot less expectations. And the thing that I'm really focusing on now is that, we really can't control our futures. Like, it's always been that way, but we had the illusion that we had control before. And now we're like, no, I can't even plan a week ahead of time, because like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I can't book a flight right now because who knows, the world might have a second wave and then I can't actually leave. Like, there's no real planning during this stage in our lives. And essentially it needs to be that way all the time, because we really can't control our lives as much as we think that we can. And we're more unified than we think we are. And we all affect each other's future, with every action that we do. I'm a huge believer of this butterfly effect. And so I kind of take, every action that I do, I take it seriously. I try to think about how it impacts the world. And so rather than chasing numbers or even money, even though I do need money to live, and it would be great if I could make a full living off art, which I haven't yet been able to do. That's my goal. I mean, that's what I would kind of mark as success, not having to have a side job and not ever having to think about doing another job. But aside from that, I've let go of my expectations of like the numbers or how things are going to be taken, and if I'm going to be famous, or if I'm going, you know what I mean? Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is create something that will, you know, I'm leaving a legacy, essentially. I'm leaving something for future generations to hold, and that I think will push the culture forward. I truly believe that artists have that responsibility, and some art, in my opinion, pushes culture backward, and some, you know, are a
Facts.
reflection of time now, and that's also important. But I really try to make art that is not only a reflection of the time, but that will also push things forward and open up new conversations and stuff like that. So that's really my intention behind creating the art, and I've just really let go of a lot of the expectations behind it, and I found a lot more peace in that, and that these numbers and these algorithms have no they're not actually factual. You know, like people say numbers don't lie, but they do, because people buy their numbers, and people have favoritism because somebody knows someone who has a playlist that has 1 million listeners, and you know what I mean, and they get on it, and so you can't attach your worth to that. But
Nah,
I
I'm
used to attach my worth to it. You know, I'd really shit on myself. I'd be like, oh, I guess my music isn't really that good, you know, because people don't want to, I'm not seeing people that want to listen to it. And so, like, I thank my fans so much that, like, email me or, like, leave these beautiful comments or whatever and tell me how much it impacted them. Like, that means so much to me because it keeps me going.
I'm happy to hear that you're finding peace in that, because that's what I kind of realized as soon as the pandemic started, is like, you're right. We think we can plan so much. We think we have control. And if this has told us anything, it's like we have basically no control. And the art, the music that I think stands the test of time is, I don't want to say more important, but maybe more meaningful, is what I feel like your album is. I told you before we started that it's a treat for your fans. But you know, as soon as the pandemic started, I moved back home with my parents, and I was listening to a lot of Lauryn Hill, a lot of D'Angelo, and there was new music coming out every week. The new music hadn't stopped, but it didn't resonate the same as, you know, the music that come out 20 years ago. And I feel like, you know, that's the kind of stuff that you're trying to create, that, you know, depending on whatever's going on in your life, whatever you're doing, this is a music that relates to you. These are the words, the sounds that will make you feel a type of way. In Worth, I think it's Worth, you said, this is the way the world works. And that's, you know, that's not like a crazy line. We've all heard that saying before, but somehow the way you said it in that song, you know, I really felt that. So what were you thinking of in particular when you said this is the way the world works in that song?
So it's kind of the inner dialogue that we have with ourselves to kind of, what's the word? Where you, like, pawn off the responsibility on something else, right? So you're going, okay, well, it's the way the world works. There's nothing we can do about it, you know? So you just have to accept the way that the world is, that it is like this superficial world that cares about, you know, wrinkles and gray hairs. And as much as you want to embrace your wrinkles and your gray hairs, the world doesn't want it. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, go get Botox. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like sarcasm. You know, I use a lot of, like, sarcasm and cynicism in my music, and some humor, you know? So it's the way the world works. We say we gonna all be dead someday. So when we wrinkle, be sure to tuck, nip, and sew the new you 2.0. You know, like, it's cheeky.
But it's real though. That's real.
I think so, you know, like, I don't try to, like, you know, shame people who, you know, and this is the thing, like, I was going through it, and I still go through the phase where I think, oh, you know, should I get Botox? Should I get this, you know, to, like, prevent these sorts of things from happening? Because, you know, if I can just hold on to youth a little bit longer, you know, just so I can get famous, you know, because everybody in my life was just telling me, well, you need to, like, hurry because you're getting older, and, like, the music industry is not going to want you anymore. And I was just like, why? Like, I'm talented, like, I write great stuff, like, I don't understand. And what's crazy is that I've been hearing that for like 5 years. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Like, people have been telling me I need to hurry for like 5 years. And looking back at it, I almost want to laugh at it now. And it seems to be like a thing that there is no age limit to it. Like, there's
Mhm.
kids that are like 17 or 19 that I hear, and they're like, oh, like, I'm not where I need to be. I need to hurry. And I'm just like, hurry where? We're like, where are you hurrying to? Life is
Exactly.
about the process. It's not about the end result. But, and so, and I was saying, like, I wrote a piece about it, and I was writing about how, like, when I was a kid, um you know my breasts didn't, they stopped growing with me, and I just like was like, okay, well, it's okay. I'm okay with being all natural. My
Mm.
mother, she'd talk about, doing this and that, and I was like, Mom, you're beautiful without the makeup, you know what I mean? And then I was like in the sex industry, and I was a stripper, and I saw a lot of plastic surgery and a lot of alterations, a lot of makeup, you know what I mean? And I was like, no, I'm gonna still just be all natural. I'm cool. Like, I'm happy with how I am. Like, they can do them, but I'm good. Then
Mhm.
I got into the music industry, and that's when I started to really question my youth and my beauty. And like, I was like, man, like, this is the first time that I ever felt the desire to change the way that I looked. And
Damn.
I really had to like sit back with myself and go like, what is going on here? Like, why do I
Mhm.
hate so much myself so much every time I pass the mirror? And I know in 10 years from now, when I look at a picture from me 10 years ago, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be like, what was I thinking? And that always happens. And
Mm.
so that's kind of where worth came from. It was really about that. Like, I was struggling a lot, and I feel like most people struggle in that. And that's why I had Thurs feature on the record, because I wanted a male perspective as well. Because I know men go through the same thing, not quite the same as women, but definitely they still experience this like fear of time running out. We all do. And yeah, but like, I think women have like the worst, the shorter end of the stick here, it's
No,
a big.
145%. When I thought of that line, I thought of my mom, and my mom is my twin. If anyone has met my mom, me and her are basically twins. And I think my mom's in her mid 50s now, but she looks late 30s. Like, you could not tell how old she is. And we were talking about kind of insecurities and how do you feel about yourself. And she told me that when she was growing up, she didn't have the best view of herself, and she didn't think that she was pretty or whatever it is. And again, if you'd see my mom now, you wouldn't even believe that she could think something like that. But again, it's what you're saying. It's like that internal battle is something that it almost doesn't matter what's happening on the outside, if that makes any sense. It's like what's on the outside and the inside are not connected all the time. So I really appreciate you kind of putting that message in there, and especially having Thurs on it, because again, a lot of guys do go through that. And it's not obviously the same as what women go through, but having a perspective on there is super important. And what I liked about the project is kind of the tone of everything. The tone is not preachy. It's very light. It's very easy to listen to, but I think that's what makes it, I think, hit harder. The things that you're saying, the messages that you have in there are kind of easy to catch. I feel way more comfortable that when this comes out, it's not going to go over a bunch of people's heads in terms of the things that you're saying, and that makes me feel better about what's coming out. The titles of every song: "Death Don't Wait for No One," "So Live a Story Worth Telling." I thought that was so fire. You got to kind of explain that to everyone and what that message means.
Yeah, so when I like left my really abusive relationship, and I was like kind of restarting my life, I decided that I just wanted to live a story worth telling every single day. And um like, I'd meet people, and like, I was still working at the strip club, and I would ask people, I'm like, how are you? And so many people would say to me, oh, I'm okay. Or I wouldn't see someone for a year, and they'd be like, I'd ask them how they're doing and what's new, and they'd be like, oh, nothing. And I'm just like, how did I know there's stuff that's happening? Like, you just have to like you know, see your life as something that's extraordinary, because even just watching like nature around you, like you don't have to be like on a plane here and like doing stadium shows to be living an extraordinary life. There's extraordinary things happening everywhere. You just have to be mindful of it, you know? And sometimes just like when I was in a meditation retreat that I did, I was like a 10-day silence meditation retreat. I remember eating an orange and it being orgasmic, just like putting the
Amazing.
orange and eating it and like swallowing it, like the feeling of everything was just like extraordinary. And we're not aware, and we're not in, you know, like we're not in our present moment to appreciate all these extraordinary things that our bodies can feel and see in the world. So I just made a point of like, I want to live a story worth telling. So every single day I want to be able to like, if I get home and I'm about to like lay my head on the bed, I want to, if my mother asked me how my day was, or my friend asked me how my day was, I have a story to tell them. I have something that's really cool and exciting to tell them. And so I always try to do new things. And I never, when somebody gives me a new opportunity to experience something, I try not to say no. I usually try to say yes, because I'm like, okay, well, life is to be experienced, you know? And so during a time when, you know, a pandemic hits and you're like, wow, I can't, you know, go anywhere anymore. I can't do the certain things that I used to do. And we took that for granted, you know? And so it's like anything can happen in life. And so you really just need to seize the moment. You need to seize the moment. And that's the kind of the message that I just wanted to give to people.
Not like you have me all the way. You have me all the way. That's a message I completely agree with. Like, and you know, when I really like when I saw the album, you know, song by song, and saw that was a message, I was like, I really hope that everyone gets this on the first listen. I hope everyone just, you know, they open the album up and they go, oh God, this is amazing. Because again, the Death Don't Wait for, like, I think there's two parts. Death Don't Wait for No One is again something like, you know, nothing is promised, you know, especially you know, when people are young. I see it with my brother who just turned 16, I think last week. He just feels like everything is going to be how it is now and everything's going to be okay. You know, it's just an inherent feeling he has, which kind of comes from being young. And then live a story worth telling. Like, again, I'm so down with that, because what the pandemic kind of showed me is the little things that we didn't appreciate are way bigger than we realize. You know, like earlier, before I was doing so many interviews and so many Zoom calls, any day I didn't have a Zoom call, I'd try and work outside, and I'd be on the back porch, sitting out there playing music, and that's where I do my work. And those are some of the best times, you know, kind of the year. Just, you know, the all the wildlife out there, the birds are kind of hanging out, the bugs are hanging out, we're all hanging out together, and those are the kind of things that you really take for granted. I want to talk about For No One. That song is probably my favorite on the project. Just tell me about putting that together. I feel like that's probably maybe the most traditional song out of the ones you have on there, along with words. Tell me about putting that song together.
Yeah, so that was one of the first songs that I wrote for the project. And it was, you know, I was exploring my sexuality, and, you know, I now identify as pansexual. And so I wanted to write a song about it, you know, and my friend Junia T had sent me this track. And so I wrote my first feelings to it. You know, I just like, it was such a sexy track. It was like, you know, it was just perfect. And I remember calling him and saying, hey, do you want me to send you the voice memo of the idea I have for the song so you can approve it before I like record the final vocals? And he goes, no, fam. Like, everything you do is fire. Just do the thing and send me the stems. And I was just like, this was the first time that a man in the industry had ever done that.
Wow.
For me, you know,
Wow.
I would always been like mansplained or told why I needed to change this or that wasn't good enough or whatever. But he just like gave me full creative control, and was just like, you got this, you know what I mean? That's why I work with you. Like, and it was just so reassuring. So that those like 10 days at Collabo Camp went by so well because I just lived with that in my heart. And I just was like, okay, I'm not going to overthink. He says everything I do is fire. I'm going to believe him. At least I will suspend this belief over these, like, 10 days. I will hold on to it. And then if it goes, out the door later, fine. But like right now, I just need to be in that like headspace. So
Oh
it was
my
a really
God.
beautiful, beautiful moment.
No, that's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that. Big shout out to Junia T for
Yeah.
sure.
He's an amazing person, amazing artist, just amazing.
No, I'm so happy to hear that. It made me a little sad to hear you say that, because it's like, that it seems so easy for someone to say, "Oh, everything you do is fire, just record it," like, but there are those people that will, mansplain and try and tinker with your vision, and it's just happy to see that there's people out there like Junior T who will not do that.
For
This is one of
sure.
my favorite questions that we ask everyone on the show.
Hmm.
They say the top 5 people in your life help make you who you are. Who are the top 5 people in your life who help you be yourself at all times? Now, you don't have to have 5. Your top 5 can be a 10 or it can be a 3. But who are the people in your life who help you be yourself?
Oh, that's very hard. I don't want to like miss anyone. The thing is like I'm such a person who believes that every single person that I've ever crossed in my life has impacted me in a huge way. I remember meeting people who like were like I maybe met while I was couch surfing, and they let me stay in their home, and they said something to me that like changed the trajectory of my life, and I could see it clearly. But I truly believe that we all do that, so it's very hard for me to go, okay, these are like the people. But I guess I would think about the people I spend the most time with and that have been with me on like a daily basis. Obviously my mom, like I write about her so much. She is in like 5 songs. I think I mentioned her in chapter 3, the come up. Like she's a huge support in my life. She's been one of my best friends during the whole time when, I was kind of like hiding my life from everyone and, being abused. And when I came out and I like told her all this stuff that was happening to me, she supported me, like even though we'd fought so much during that time. And she's just like such an amazing human, and I learned so many of my traits from her, and she's instilled these beautiful cultures in me, like she's Lebanese. And so again, like that's why I wanted to include the lullaby, because it's also the cyclical nature of culture and how it's passed on and how it transforms through time. So the first one on the record, the intro, she's singing it with me, she's like the main singer on it, and then the last one I'm singing it, but with like some piano. So like, how things change. So, she's instilled a lot of beautiful things in me. Our home is like open to everyone, and we, when people come in, you stand up for them and you give them food and you give them water, and you know what I mean? It's a very warm culture. And so she's really been a huge impact in my life. Obviously, I think everyone's mom generally has.
For sure. We're pro mom over here.
Yeah. And then I would say my buddy Tom, who he was my best friend since I was like 14 in high school. And he's the person that I reached out to after I came back from India. And I said to him, I called him and I was like, Tom, like, I know you don't know what's been going on in my life, but I want to write a concept album about my life, and would you do it with me? And he just said, you're only the best vocalist I've known in my whole career, so yes.
Wow.
And so we worked together for all the past 5 years. Really, we recatalogued all my music, so most of the songs that I wrote with him. And he's just been a constant support that has just been unwavering for so long. And he really helped me rebuild my confidence, because there was a time that I didn't think I was good, and I didn't want to perform in front of people, and I didn't even think people would like me, like at all, even as a person. Like I just had no confidence. It had been beaten out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's an amazing person, and he's so smart. And and then my collaborator, Karima Isa, who did all the videos for this Interlude 19, and she also did the video for Money Ain't Free. She's an amazing woman, such a powerhouse. She directs, but she also produces, and she learned how to be the cinematographer and learned how to be the editor to, accomplish all of this on her own. And she's just an inspiration, and she's such a support for me as well. Who else? There's so many people. Junia T, Junia T is an amazing human, and he's definitely part of my bubble. And he's just such a positive person, and he's you know what I mean? He always has a positive spin to everything. So it's really amazing to be his friend, because you can almost never be down when you're around him. And he has this smile that just lights up a room. And I would say my friend Allison and James, they're the ones who have Collabo Camp, and they're just shining human beings. Allison is, she's an artist in her own right, in the sense that she's a yoga instructor. She creates these meditations like yoga nidra and stuff like that. And she's just such a powerful woman. And her partner James is just a phenomenal artist, on all rounds and all spectrums. And so I'm surrounded by amazing creative people who are really they're not about clout. They're not about, they're just about making good art and being around good people. And we all, share food, we share our time, we share our hearts. And it's really a community, what I think a community needs to look like. And I'm so blessed to have these people in my life, and I'm missing so many people. So anyone who's watching this, please don't be offended. I just can't go on for 2 hours.
Big shout out to all those people. That makes my heart warm to hear about, that community that you have, because I really do believe that is true. The people in your life who are closest to you, that you give your time to, you give your heart to, those people do have a strong effect on kind of, where you're going to be at. So yeah, it definitely warms my heart to hear that, you got all those good people around you. This is another one that we like to ask everybody. When people get a lot of money, they buy exotic animals. Mike Tyson with his tiger, Justin Bieber with his monkey, Michael Jackson with his monkey. Is there an exotic animal out there that you would spend your money on?
Okay, so if I'm suspending my the fact that I'm vegan and I don't really believe in owning exotic animals, I won't even have a pet right now, because I travel a lot and I don't have time that I think require, you need to if you have a dog, you need to walk them every day, a few times, you know what I mean? You need to spend time with them. So, I don't have the time to do that. So I don't have a pet. But if I'm going to suspend that for a moment, do I have to pick an animal that can actually be in my house?
No. We're suspending reality. You have.
Okay. I would pick an elephant then.
Oh, I think you're the first person to say an elephant, so you're making history.
Well, because most people don't really think about an elephant being in their house. They're very big animals,
For sure. No, that's a good one. All the people I know who have kind of seen elephants in person speak so highly of them. Me, I've never even been close, so that the thought of that still terrifies me. But anyone who I know who's kind of seen an elephant in person speaks so highly of them. So I'm happy to hear that. I love this question because I get animals that I'm not even thinking of, and you get a lot of answers where it's you would want to be around this animal. That's interesting. So this is definitely a first for us. This is the last one here. Now, we do a segment on the show called Wednesday Wisdom, hosted by our boy Brandon Gibbs, and he comes with a new motivational quote every single week, giving us some, wise words to kind of keep with us and keep us going. Is there anything that you kind of remind yourself of, whether it's every day or every week, that kind of stays in your mind and keeps you in a good mood?
I mean, other than the slogan of my album, Death Don't Wait for No One, So Live a Story Worth Telling. I think that one is a big one for me. But I would also say the mantra, like, that basically nothing is permanent. You know, so the fact that, you know, if you're in pain right now, remember it's not permanent. It's not going to last forever. So things are always changing. And you know, also on the positive times, there's going to be hard times. So remember, you know, nothing is permanent. It's okay. There's waves in life, and they'll come and go, and ride them, you know. So I'd probably say that's a good thing that I try to remind myself of every day. And there's also like a prayer, because I used to go to a 12-step group for like 4 years. And, you know, we often say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I definitely recite that every single day. I don't have a denomination, like I don't believe in like a particular God or anything, but I do believe in a universal consciousness. And so, you know, to anyone who doesn't believe in God, quote unquote, like, that doesn't need to deter you from the prayer. You can say the universe or whatever works for you.
Now those are all great. The album, that's a great one, of course. Nothing is permanent is a great one. And yeah, that little prayer, I heard my mom saying that to me a lot when I was younger, and that's a huge one. Honestly, I love getting all these gems from you and these great Culture Wednesday wisdom. By the time this is out, the album will be out, so everyone please go listen to that. Interlude 19. Now, I'm not leading you guys astray. This is a treat. So please take a listen. You know, turn your lights blue, put your candles on, get your vibe right, and put this album on. I want to thank you again for joining us in the cut. It has honestly been a pleasure.
It has been my pleasure. Thank you so much. And I just want to let everyone know as well, like, to sign up to my email list at storymusic.com. So story is with 2 R's, STORRY music.com. That's the best way to be in contact with me, because with the algorithms, sometimes social media doesn't always, you know, show the posts that they need to show. And but if not, if you want to also follow me on the socials, I'm on all of them at Story Music with 2 R's.
Awesome.
Thanks again for having me. I had a great time.
No, it's honestly been a pleasure. If this is your first time listening to the pod or watching us on YouTube, make sure you are subscribed. On Apple, leave us a rating, 5 stars, not a single star less. And please catch the Cool Table live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. on CJRU 1280 a.m. Until next time, everyone, know yourself, know your worth.